Left Wing Kingz. Listen, think, act, repeat.
My man Bobby,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you've been doing a bunch of plays, man. Over 22 stage plays. You produced over 159 shows. You know, you started off with God Can Change You, and now you got Divorce Saved My Marriage, and you've taken us on a crazy journey, man. Extraordinary excellence within your plays. So, I mean, now that we got you here, we finally got you in our damn clutches. We can finally go ahead and ask you a few questions about your artistic journey and how you got here. So, how did you get started writing plays?
Well, I've always kind of had a thing for the arts in high school. Me and a couple of buddies, we started with short stories, and I had this vision I wanted to be, in film. So it was kind of marinated in my brain then. But it wasn't until I went to my first play while visiting LA in 2001. So it was this stage play, God Don't Like Ugly. And it was downtown LA, and I just remember, I had just gotten out the Army. I tried barber school. I've done all these different things, but in that moment at that play, it's like that's when the theater bug hit me. And I remember I was with a few people, and I said, I can do this.
Yeah,
this is what I want to do. As I was standing around looking, and I was just mesmerized by the big stage, the set, the everything. And then I came back and I started doing my research and courses, and I've been writing ever since. So
that's wild, man. I mean, I just want to say, like, there have been moments in my life where I've seen things that I was mesmerized by and excited about, but was I willing to take that risk? You were willing to take a risk and say, I'm going all in and I'm going to make this shit happen.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I at that moment, when I saw that, now I didn't realize that most plays, there's a writer, there's a different director, and then there's the producer. So I just saw the finished product.
Right.
So as I got into it, that's when I learned, like, whoa, okay. I didn't intentionally try to put on all three hats, but it just wound up coming out that way. And then acting, so I got into that too. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I guess I've never been afraid of taking risks. I've always had an entrepreneur mindset. That's what my degree's in, business management. So I like business. So it's only one thing to do is to get out and do it.
Yes, sir.
That's what's up. Where do you draw your inspiration for your plays? Like when you're coming up with the themes and everything, where does that come from?
That's a good question. Well, a lot of it, the best writing is, those that you can tie in from personal experience, but then also those vicariously, I'm always talking to people. I'm always learning their stories, and also the material that I read, because every play that I've done, I always do research. So I get stats, I get numbers, and a lot of times you're paying attention, I implement those, put those into the plays. But research, I do questionnaires, I interview people, and then so I put a combination of all that together and make a story.
Hey, man, I want to ask you this because I've been to a few of your plays. I ain't like Ace, man. I support your ass.
You do. You and the wifey. Wow. You and the wifey.
We've been to crazy Bobby.
But to Adrian's credit, a lot of the time,
don't save him.
Well, okay, I really don't want to, but since we live, I guess that's the proper thing to do. Well, he's always normally busy in the evenings.
Okay.
With his gigs that he got going on.
Yeah. You're right. He's a promoter. He does his thing.
Yeah, he does. But he every time I see him, he say he's gonna come, so I'm gonna hold him to it.
Hey, yeah,
Well, I done bought some tickets. That just ain't.
Look, that's good.
I take his word for that, because I don't know about that either. But no, maybe he has. I'm sure.
Hey, but the point I was gonna bring up to you is that kind of like what Ace said, like your idea for your plays, like you have usually you have some central themes, a few things, specific things that you touch on in your plays. So can you talk about those and how you work them into and tie them into your plays?
Well, that's a good question too. So the thing is, for me, I always try to figure out like how I can be different, in my own lane. So because I think as a creator, anyone who creates anything because we all have something valuable to bring to the table.
Yes, sir.
That no one else can do,
Exactly.
such as yourself. So for me, I always try to have, because I've learned I try to keep my plays as entertaining as I possibly can. So my plots are always relationship based. So it's always deals with love. That's the first plot, some relationship standpoint, but then the subplots are always tied around a financial crisis. So I back my characters in the wall. At one point, their love life is falling apart, and then secondly, is always surrounded by money. And that brings in the character I play, Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
So,
Andy used my last name. You know, that's the bad part about
I know, right?
Not only did he just tell my whole life in the one sentence, but then he throw my last name on it.
And didn't even ask you. Didn't ask you for it.
But the good part about it is Mr. Williams in his plays knows money. He's good with money.
Yeah, you're brokenhearted and now you're broke at the same damn time, Mr. Williams. You know what I'm saying? Just hit me with that like that shit.
Yeah. So that makes Mr. Williams relevant because in all my plays, he's always the main character's bookkeeper. You know, he has many clients. So, yeah, nerd too. He's nerdy. Well, I'd rather say he's good with numbers. So I have the financial crisis going on that Mr. Williams, you know, throws those short puns of letting everybody know what's going on with the money, and then also tying in the spiritual overtone because the one thing about stage play is you want people to leave with hope.
Yeah.
So I always tie it together with
That's what's up.
ending that allows people to leave with hope, to see these characters that have these problems, and then how they navigate and work them out, and then the people, you know, people can see that these characters can make it, then I can too. So that's where the spiritual overtone come from.
Yeah. And one thing too about, you know, Mr. Williams that I like a lot is that, like you said, he comes in with the puns on the financial side to kind of, you know, get everybody in the audience thinking about how they supposed to be handling their money. And also, he comes in too. He also touches on the love part too sometimes. And God, I mean, Mr. Williams don't play. He will get your ass straight. He'll tell you when you're doing wrong.
Right.
I
Exactly.
remember like it seems to me like Mr. Williams' evolution. He started off as just a bookkeeper, but as you've grown with that character, and the character seems to have evolved and grown into more very, like, not just about books.
Right.
He's about God. He's about, you know, love, and he shares his knowledge. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, you know, it's been a thing to come out the box with him. So I've learned or seen that when I had him in there a little bit, people wanted more of Mr. Williams. But you know, I was kind of, I don't want to use the term shy because I love being on stage, but it's just that I tried to make the story around the other characters other than Mr. Williams, but bring him in as necessary. But then I started to continuously do more research about, you know, numbers and money and stuff. And really that's my way of imparting financial wisdom into our community.
Yes, sir.
Because I do believe that we need to invest more. We need to save more. We need to save for a rainy day. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
No, sir.
All the things that Mr. Williams says, you know, those are the things that I try to, you know, get the people to see.
Yes.
And then, you know, so that's the way that I use them.
Yeah.
And then I just started, you know, having fun with him and using him a little bit more. And now he's, and I'm going to do more with him too. So.
Yeah. Well, Tina brought up the fact that he's a nerd. He come in with the suspenders and the funny pants, but at the end of the show, your ass step out there looking like Michael B. Jordan. At the end, like this nigga step out in this suit looking.
Well, I can't come out in the costume now, but you know, but there has been some change in it because he had one particular costume before, and I was like, well, because in the view recall. He had the red plaids, but see, everybody kept saying, "You look like Urkel or Mr. Brown." So I said, "You know what? I got to change that because I want them to see Mr. Williams, you know, for himself, but not see anybody else." So I changed, you know, I got away from that and made him a little bit more grownish.
Yes, sir.
You know, kind of grown man nerd. That is, grown man nerd.
Hey, if you want to be a grown ass man, do things for yourself. Click the damn like button, okay? So if you like this conversation, you want to see more like this, more interviews, more videos, things like that, make sure that you are subscribing to Left Wing Kingz and share your content on all of our social media platforms. I guess we got some comments out here.
Some comments?
Yeah, Tina.
A few
can you
people
let me know
listen to
what's being said out there? Because I don't have access to it right now.
Oh, yes. Okay, Danielle said hi. She's here.
Danielle says hi. She says she's here.
Danielle.
Danielle Hamilton.
Yeah, Danielle Hamilton. Miss
Yeah.
Elizabeth Wells.
Oh, she's
Elizabeth
on there too.
Wells
okay.
says hi.
I gotta say something about
She
them
said
too.
Bobby's very creative playwright.
Bobby's a very creative playwright.
So that's Miss Jenkins.
Oh,
Elizabeth
okay.
Wells, that's you remember Miss
Yeah,
Jenkins. So Miss
yeah.
Jenkins is another character that I've been working with, bringing into, the she's. I think that character's been
And then
probably in four plays.
Leah,
Yes.
Nicole said Bobby is a talented writer, producer, and director. Looking
Bobby, the
forward to more.
Talented writer,
I know,
producer,
that's
and
my
director.
friend.
Looking forward to more.
Yeah.
Hey.
And speaking of Danielle wrote the music.
Yeah, I was
for
gonna
this play,
say.
so-
I was just gonna bring that up.
Yeah, she did. She Danielle's really great. Now through the 23 years I've had different songwriters. My brother-in-law, Dante Banks, John Bernard, few of Scooter R. Jones. Few of those writers. But Danielle has written the music for the last two plays, and she's really in tune and in depth. She comes to the rehearsals. She takes the scripts. We have meeting. Her and we meet before I even meet with the cast, before we do any read through whatnot, and she puts her she does her thing, and she
always has.
oh yeah, well, she really did her thing with this one. I one of my favorite songs that she written, and she knows this, is the theme song for the Mr. Fix It, the last one.
Yeah.
I love that. The opening up, the way it opened up with that song, I love that. The lines, that he can fix everything, but one thing he can't fix is finding him some love, something like that. I really like that. But in this play, she wrote 5 beautiful songs. So and people want the soundtrack. So
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that to our guests. Like, I know that, your play's been full of bangers. And like you said, you've dealt with a lot of different songwriters throughout your time. How do you, identify the right, because I'm not trying to say, one over another, but I know you have to search and find the right talent to help support your plays, whether it's the songwriters, whether it's the actors. How do you bring all of these people, this community of creatives together to do this? It seems like a overwhelming task to me. I know you've been doing it for a long time, but it seems like a lot.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot behind the scenes that goes on too. Meaning, and actually, it's 110 shows that have done in the 23 years.
Okay.
But within that time, I've worked with probably about 150 talented individuals.
Wow.
Whether they've been comedians, singers, or whatnot. But to be honest with you, most of them come with no experience. No acting experience at all.
Wow.
There's only been about probably 5.
Damn.
Scooter R. Jones, Jackie Carter, who's in this play. She plays the wife. She was in a play with Sherman Hemsley. I went to go see. That's how I discovered. Well, that's the first time we met. But like I said, there's a few that have Angela Bennett. Those that have been in big companies or productions. But most of the time, everybody else they come. They don't have any experience. So I have to teach everyone how to act from day one.
Wow.
And to the credit of them, opening night, everybody think that they've been, acting for years.
Yeah.
It seems like they've been doing it for years,
Yes,
but they
sir.
just don't know. Most of them started 6 weeks ago
Wow.
or 8 weeks ago. But so to your point, that speaks to passion
Yes.
and the willingness to do it. So I am willing to work with anybody that puts forth a good effort and that wants to be there. And like I tell people, if you're a singer, you're a comedian, you need to be in a stage play, because people, you have your audience over here, but people need to see your charisma,
Yes, sir.
your other sides of personality on your acting stage, and that begets bigger productions or sales on here. So as long as someone wants to be there and wants to, learn, the stagecraft, I'm willing to.
Hey.
I'll take
That's
them.
what's up.
So do you do casting calls to get actors and?
So just in case y'all didn't hear, I just want to make sure to heard the question. She asked you, does Bobby do casting calls to get the actors?
I haven't done many, honestly. I've done maybe a couple, here in those between here and there. But I have a list of people that have stated their interest, and it may take some time, but I get around to. There's You know, there's people, you know, the inside jokes, you know, that we make. You know, people been, you know, waiting for years, but
Yeah.
it slowly comes.
Like Mike Burton. Mike
Yeah.
Burton, if you watching.
Mike Burton, what, he said he wanted to.
He said he wanted to get on this show,
Oh,
but he keeps asking
okay,
Adrian.
okay. Oh,
he like,
okay.
how come you ain't asking Malik? That's your friend. That's your
I
homeboy.
told him he the boss. I said, look, he the boss.
Yeah, he knows you. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
dude, hey, quick story. We used to spend the night together when we was kids. And I even told him, I said, dog, I said, we played hacky sack soccer with your long ass toes.
Right.
And you won with your monkey feet.
Yeah.
Ask Malik, stop asking me, bro.
Right.
I said, I don't make that decision, bro.
I just seen him like a couple of weeks ago when Terry.
Love
was
you,
down.
Mike, because he
Yeah,
said he
we-
watched the shows. If you watch the show, we love you, man. You'll be, oh, man, Ace, man,
And
I
I-
told you not to say nothing,
Yeah,
nigga.
and that's the way he talked too. That is the way he talked. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw y'all went out to eat and had a good time, man. Had some breakfast and
We
things.
did. Yeah. Well, we was hanging out, but
There you go. And you on the show now,
Yeah,
Mike. There you
yeah,
go,
he is.
baby. You
Well,
on the
yeah,
show.
he on the show in theory. But speaking of like helping people out, man, I know that you like to give back to the community, man, and I know you love helping kids. So, how are you nurturing the young talent out there that's trying to get into theater?
Yeah, good question. I was going to ask that one.
yeah.
That's good.
Well, I've done acting classes before. I've mentored young writers. I still do. Not many, but I have done that. So, just trying to, if anyone that has a artistic vision and to bring their writing to pass, I've helped the youth with that.
Yeah.
Or people in general too. So
Yes, sir.
um,
So
I
that kind of leads me to my last question here for you. There's people out there that want to get into this, right? They want to be actors. They want to write. They think they could be the next Tyler Perry. They think they could be the next Bobby McMorris. You know what I'm saying?
23 years.
So, tell me, what's your favorite part about being a creative? And tell me, if you could change anything about being a creative, what would that be?
well, that's a loaded question.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. But I think I touched on it earlier. When you're a creator, you because like I said, we all have something to offer. So
Yes, sir.
no one can do something like you. So
That's right.
we all have something to bring to the table. But when you're creating your own material, creating is one thing, but then take it, as you mentioned, taking the risk to put it out there. That's a whole different thing.
Yes, sir.
But you're taking your career into your own hands, where you're not sitting around waiting for
Right.
someone to pick you up
There
to
you
call
go.
you. So that's like kind of the best thing. And then when you do put it out there, you get to it's your touch, it's your spin, it's your thought process, it's your statement or your impact that you want to make into the world. I got into writing because I wanted to, by the stroke of my pen, change the world. And so, quick question on that. When I came back from LA, I was going to church on the east side of San Antonio at the time. And I was looking at the state of the community, the homelessness, the drugs, this and that. And then that's when I decided, because I was praying, I was like, Lord, what am I going to write about? So I said, that's when I turn my misery into my ministry. So the things that I don't like seeing are the things that I write about. What I would change, I don't think there's any, negative thoughts as far as, not being a creator. It's like everyone should if you so I don't see that, but I will say what I've learned
Okay.
or what I've changed from that, if it's in the same line of your question, is
Oh,
that
yeah.
I learned that ideally when you create something, it's your baby, so you think that everyone is going to like it. That's not true.
Yeah.
So you got to learn how to, be objective and not take it personally.
Yes.
And,
Good advice.
and I learned that early on when I was, defensive in my early years. And a guy,
Yes.
Dion Van Ruin, pulled me to the side. He's a film writer. And he told me, he said, just listen to what they say and, just respond. Oh, I never thought about it like that. Or that's another perspective or this and that. So it taught me how to not be so defensive and just, listen. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. But then another part too is, it's I can't tell you how many times I fell on my face, like through the years, like out of all those shows, I probably over 100 of them, close to it. I've had failures. I had setbacks. I had to, eat sandwiches.
Yeah.
I've had to take out loans, and I mean, there's times where, everybody's having a fun time on the van coming back, and I'm wondering how I'm gonna pay for everything. I mean, I've had nights where I cried. I mean, I've had nights where it hurts, but it's one of those things that you just can't. You have to do.
Yeah.
So the only thing, like I said, the takeaway is not being defensive, and then also learning how to pick yourself up if you fail, and knowing how to keep going in the thing that you believe in.
Yeah,
because
that's great
because
feedback.
because you don't know when it's going to happen.
That's
Your
right.
only thing is to keep going. Like, it's to not give up. Like, God doesn't tell you when or the day it's going to happen, but your thing is you just can't give up.
That's right.
And I'll say this lastly. When I first got into doing this, the first lady, Prophet Jackie Banks, she told me, anything that you're doing, for the honor and glory of God, is going to come to pass. She said most people, what people miss it at is they give up too soon. But if you just hold on. And I tell you, there's been plenty of times where, my cast, they got stories.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I like to let them tell it. One day maybe you can bring them back on
Oh
here.
yeah, Danielle coming back on here, so I'll let her tell it.
And then the cats, because one time I remember we were in DeSoto. Well, I shouldn't have said the city, but we were in DeSoto, and we had like 5 people in the audience. It was like we had like 3 days there, and we had like 5 people, 7 people.
Wow.
And we went to the hotel. I probably should have said it. We had 2 rooms. We had one for the ladies and one for the men. You know how you, back in the day, I used to one seat this way, the seat this way, put out the sofa. Then we had rough times. And I remember I used to say, man, I was just so mad. I said, maybe I need to start writing something ratchet. That's what they want.
You need to cast Sexy Red. I need Sexy Red on this cast.
Oh, man, you should hear them tell the story. But,
What's that say, Tina?
But you got to stick with it.
Time is 11:26.
Oh, okay. I can't see
She wrote
nothing.
it in pencil. And shit
I
like
can't
that.
see nothing. Nah, she wrote
Hot
it in pink.
pink.
She wrote it in pink. I'm gonna give it that. But hey, I think that the takeaway for everybody out there, and this is like you can use it in life as general. I mean, it doesn't even have to just apply to like being a creative. Don't give up
Well, you
on
can't.
something that means something to you.
Yeah, it's easy to do that.
You know what I'm saying? It's the easy thing is to stop. And then the other thing is when you get critiqued, embrace it or throw it away. I mean, at the end of the day, you need to understand that whatever this person is saying is true to them, and it might be true to other people. So you might want to just open your mind, just be open to it. And if it can help you, try to find a way to use that critique to help you get better. You know what I'm saying? Or if you just like, I don't care, kick it to the curb, but don't ignore it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I got to the point to where, like when we perform our shows in Fort Worth and Killeen, places where people will really tell you the truth and stuff, I got to a point where I do callbacks. I just take random, because I collect data, I just call back random people. Hey, what do you think about the play?
That's good.
And they provide their feedback and stuff, and that helped me become a better writer to the point where now. And I do want to say shout out to the cast of Divorce Safe from Marriage.
Yes,
And anyone
sir.
that has worked with me, with the patience and everything, because I know how I can be sometimes. Because I try to be, it's for the audience. I try to be, give them
Gotta do
our
what you
best
gotta
foot
do.
forward. But the cast that we have, Jackie Carter, Walter Sanders III, Brian Roche, Genevia, Miss Elizabeth Wells, and Miss Sandra. Danielle with the music, as we mentioned. Me, Mr. Williams, of course.
Yes, sir.
But Sharon Smith, Brittany Smith. Wonderful crew.
Yeah, man.
Wonderful crew.